Hey, so this is a Burgundy playthrough. I feel like once you win the 100 Years' War with England and subjugate France, that part is really interesting. And then surviving any attacks from Burgundy and Austria and keeping France under your control is a little bit interesting for a while. But then once you have it all set up, basically the only thing to do, you can easily eat everyone, and that's fun, but it's not super interesting. It's not like a big challenge. It's just, I own the world. Let's crush everyone. Or you can do colonization, which is also fun but not challenging. So I was enjoying it, but it wasn't very much fun to watch, I would say. So let's do another challenge right from the beginning. So Burgundy seems like it'd be really interesting. I mean, really easy, because you've got all this land right in the middle of the empire next to all these teeny tiny things that you can gobble up. So as soon as you crush Austria, you can gobble anything you want from the empire. The problem is that the empire really sticks together. Let's see if we can bring up the empire thing. And Burgundy is actually already like half in the empire. So as soon as you attack anyone on your eastern border, or even Bar or anything like anywhere along this line, then you're in a permanent war with all of these states forever. And that's challenging because they all individually seem pretty small. Like 9,000 army against my 50, right? That's not going to do anything. But you stack enough of them together and they're fielding like 100,000 army. And more challenging even than the fact that you have to crush some of the empire stuff just to form the Dutch nation like you're supposed to. See, whoa, it's Zev. It's always Zev. Form the Dutch nation. In order to form the Dutch nation, you need to take Utrecht, this tiny place right here, and Friesland, this tiny place right here. And neither of them can be vassalized because of their government type doesn't support royal marriage. So you have to take them in war, both of them. And that means you're going to fight Austria at least twice. And Austria is very strong and scary. But more importantly, France, right on your border. They have, they think that Picardy is their core territory, so they will fight you over and over and over forever until they get this territory or until they're dead. So I played through for until 1570 or 1600 or something a bunch of times. The first time, I just followed the quests. I was like, the reason that I'm playing a big nation is because the makers of the game spent a lot of time creating a bunch of quests that would give you an interesting playthrough. So let's just do what the quests tell me to do. But the problem is the quests are like, crush this tiny nation, crush this tiny nation, crush this tiny nation, and then eventually everyone attacks you and you die. So then the second time I played through, I was like, wow, I can't have England, France, and Austria all attacking me. Why don't I pick one of them and crush them, and then only the other two will be my opponents. So I allied with Castile, Aragon, Portugal, and Savoy, and I attacked England and crushed England, took back Calais, this little tiny red dot in the middle of my territory, Calais. And I took these two territories, and I was doing pretty good. I forced them to release some nations, and then I vassalized their nations, and England was crumbling. And then Austria and France teamed up, broke my alliance with Castile and Aragon, and everyone attacked me together. They're like, you're expanding too much, you die. And then I was dead. So then, the third time I played through, you know what? My webcam is not on. I don't know why, but by default it doesn't actually show up. You have to click refresh or something. There it is. There it is. All right. And then, yeah, so the third time I played through, I had previously been killed by Austria and France, and I was like, you know what? Austria probably only attacked me because I took Sungayu and Bar, and I vassalized Lorraine. And their job is to protect the empire. Every time I do anything to the empire, they attack me. Fine. Fine. Maybe I can get by without Austria attacking me at all, as long as I just say that the empire is off limits. I will never attack anything inside the empire. I will only focus on France. So I teamed up with Castile, Aragon, Savoy, and Milan, and I beat up France a bunch. And that actually worked. I crippled France. Castile took all of this territory along the southern coast, and I took this stuff along the northern coast, and Savoy and Milan gobbled up the stuff along the eastern coast of France, and France was pretty much out of it. And then I kind of died to being 3 military techs behind, in wars that I had a vastly bigger income and bigger army, but my army was terrible because I'd been spending all of my diplomatic tech having too many relationships, and I've been spending all of my admin tech on coring territory and on improving stability because my kings keep dying. Oh, historically, Burgundian kings in this time period die an awful lot, so expect to lose your king all the time. Anyway, so these little nations right along my border, Trier and Cleves and Aachen and Liege and Cologne and Guillory, these tiny nations that don't threaten me at all. They're so tiny. If you play peacefully, you can actually vassalize most of them. Just by being like, hey, I'm bigger than you. You want my protection? And they'll be like, yes, I want your protection. And all of them try to get alliances with you, but you only have four slots for alliances, and you can't waste them on teeny tiny nations like this because you need big friends to beat up on France. Anyway, so those guys all teamed up and attacked me. Austria came to their aid, and all of the empire kind of attacked me, and I died. So I was like, that's the best I've ever done. I was kicking some serious butt. France was no longer an issue, and I died to a bunch of stupid tiny nations attacking me. So this is maybe the 5th time. I don't remember what happened the 4th time. But I'm going to win this time. Trust me. I'm going to win this time. Alright, so you can't not fight England and France because they have a core in Picardy. So they refuse to ever be your friend. They also start off as rivals and with historical differences. England is much more willing to forgive and forget than France is, but the problem is that England will never help you in any wars. So being friends with England is pointless. And being enemies with England doesn't hurt you because they suck at war. All of their troops are on the mainland, and if they attack you, they're going to ship a couple of guys over 14 at a time and come lose them. So just like with most games, the AI is not very good at crossing oceans. At least I gotta say, in this game, compared to the Total War series, they are way better. They at least, they field an army and they fight you pretty well. The problem is, as with historically, in real life, if you ship 20,000 men across the pond and then have them fight a battle, if they lose that battle, there's nowhere to retreat to. If you try to retreat to ships, it just takes too long to get back on the ships and you get crushed. So it's not like the AI is too stupid to win. It's just that if they lose a single battle, then their whole army gets eliminated, and that's not good for their morale. Castile is just a great ally, and you gotta stay friends with Castile forever. In one of my playthroughs, but not the other 3, Castile inherited Aragon, and the Castile owning Aragon personal union thing is what made crushing France so easy. So I'm wondering whether I should even bother to make friends with Aragon, because if Castile attacks Aragon, then I have to pick one and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start allied to Castile. So far, every time I've allied with Savoy, it has been a total letdown, because they're never willing to attack France, and if France attacks me, they don't want to come to my defense. They just suck. Savoy is terrible. Milan, on the other hand, tends to fight a lot of wars and expand really well, especially with your protection. They gobble up most of Switzerland, some of Venice, all of these little, like Mantua and Genoa and Modena and some of the Papal State. Like, Milan makes a great ally against Austria, but my plan is never to fight Austria. I'm just going to stay away from the empire until I'm super huge. So I don't need Milan as an ally. And those are really the only good options. It's Castile and Aragon and Savoy and Milan. Those are the only big neighbors I really have. I've never tried allying with Switzerland because since they can't have a royal marriage, and since Austria needs to take Switzerland territory in order to reach Songhai, it just seems like they make for a really bad ally. Because they're going to get me into a war with Austria that I don't want, and they only field like 10,000 troops, and you can't royal marry them, so there's no possibility you'll ever be able to personal union or, what's the other thing? Vassalize, right? But anyway, I need allies. I'm going to go for these 3. Castile, Aragon, Switzerland, and maybe it's tempting to ally Lorraine, because eventually I will be able to vassalize them, but not for a really long time. And in fact, by 1600, even when I've had a very large nation, I've never been able to vassalize Lorraine. They just make too much money. They don't want to be vassalized. Baden, right off the bat, you can vassalize Baden. Like right now, I could vassalize Baden. I can vassalize Berg. I can vassalize Guillory. And I can vassalize East Frisia. So you can just start the game by getting 4 vassals immediately. And that's a good start. It makes you a lot more powerful in the early game than any of the other starts I've done. But the problem is without big allies to help you fight France, it doesn't matter how much bigger you are than you should be, you still get crushed by France. So you need these 3. So these 3 are my safety allies, and then I'm going to pick one and vassalize. I think I'm going to vassalize Baden because they're on the border with Switzerland, so they'll help me against Austria. They'll help me in lots of cute little ways. All right, Switzerland. Actually, you can get a quest to ally with people, and I probably should abuse that mechanic a little more because you could just gain monarch power for no reason. Oh, and advisors. Because Burgundy starts off quite rich, it makes sense to just start off with some advisors, especially since you need to up your stability once in the beginning. You might as well get the guy that reduces the cost of stability. I usually get the diplomatic reputation statesman because he unlocks an idea over here by having a statesman. And then morale of armies or reinforcement speed or manpower or discipline are good choices for the next one. So we'll vassalize Baden as our first thing. He'll be our first vassal. So another thing worth mentioning is that if you release nations, you can immediately vassalize them because they're so happy that you released them from, you gave them their independence, that they'll immediately take vassalization. So if you plan to fight early wars, sometimes it's better not even to go up to 4 relations, just stick with 1 or 2. And then if you win the war, you get to vassalize nations as a result. But I'm hoping not to fight super early. If you go in on France early, then you catch them while they're still at war with England, and then a lot of their troops will be sieging up English territory, and you can pick them apart. Like if they have some troops down here and some troops up here, then you can run in and crush them up north. But I don't think that Spain will assist me in attacking France yet. Let's see. Yeah, Baden will, but Switzerland and Castile won't. Basically, unless one of your allies is individually more powerful than another ally on his own border, he tends not to want to help you fight him. Also, if there's nothing for him to gain from the war, like right now, if he beat up France, what could he get? He could get Bearn and Armagnac, but only after he took out Navarre, and he hasn't taken out Navarre yet. It's worth mentioning that I have the Conquest of Paradise expansion, and I want to do some colonizing, but usually you need to, Burgundy is in such a vulnerable position that they're going to die unless you kick a lot of butt early on. And once you kick a lot of butt early on, you don't really need to colonize anymore. It's kind of tricky. Colonization seems only super beneficial if you're playing a peaceful game. And you can only play a peaceful game if you're strong enough not to die. And if you're strong enough not to die, you don't need to play a peaceful game, because you can just go kill everyone. So it's this cycle of what? So Switzerland wants to take territory from Savoy, and I want to take territory from Savoy. But if I take territory from Savoy, oh, this is why. If you check, this is my capital, and it's Burgundian, right? This is Burgundian. It's mine. So, and this is Burgundian. So these 2 territories are mine, by culture, right? So I get quests to take them, and just generally, if I take them, I get a lot more income from them than other people would, because they're Burgundian. Now they're both terrible base tax, and they're not worth fighting the empire over. So I tend to ignore them. But it's just worth mentioning that Switzerland and I both want these same 2 territories from Savoy. I don't think I'm going to attack Savoy, and if I do, I don't think I'm going to take any territory. I'm just mentioning it. Alright, so Castile military access, and Switzerland military access, and Baden military access. I need to fill one more ally slot. I could ally the Papal State, but they're so far from my border that it doesn't make a lot of sense. I just get pulled into a bunch of wars that I couldn't help much with. Alright, so let's just go in a circle and make sure to get... Another thing worth mentioning is with only 2 diplomats, it takes you like 20 years to get up to max relations with 4 countries. So it's often best to play the early game by not doing anything. I colonized Africa as Russia in Victoria too. I took from the south up to Congo, but France beat me to northern Africa. Colonization is much more important in that game, however. It unlocks strategic resources like rubber and gold mines. Yeah, you unlock strategic resources by colonizing in this game too, but the bonuses you get from strategic resources are not as important as in Vicky 2, because there's no tanks and you don't need oil, and you don't need tires. So the strategic resources are like sugar and salt, and the benefits that they give you are like a tiny bit of boosted morale or a tiny bit better manpower or reinforcement speed. It's not worth doing. Oh, another short-term goal is to beat up Provence, get them to release Bar as a sovereign nation, and then vassalize Bar. So that's what I'll use my 4th slot on. Because if you conquer Bar, and you can conquer Bar, it pisses off everyone. Austria immediately asks you to give Bar back to the Empire, and then you end up maybe fighting Austria. So that's not cool. Yeah, the thing is, the benefits are so small that it's just like, oh, that's interesting, but it's not worth paying attention to. Alright, I think I'm actually going to fight Provence before I fight France. Let's, Ooh, Provence is already in a war against England. Oh, they're in the 100 Years' War, though. I'm not gonna intervene on the 100 Years' War. That will put me at odds with France. Alright, I've never tried to be friends with Provence. It seems like Provence would make a good ally against France, and with Bar right here, they could theoretically be a good ally against anyone, because they can get to my territory, but they're so spread out that I can't imagine them fielding much of an army unless they have access to go through France, because France is in between all of their territory. This is theirs, and this is theirs, and France is the common denominator. So they have to be allies with France, and if I'm going to be fighting France, yeah, I need to fabricate claims. That's what I'm doing against Bar. Alright, now I need to say who my rivals are so that people will be more willing to back me and stuff. They want to know who I'm planning to fight. I'm planning to fight France. I'm planning to fight England. And I'm planning to fight Provence in the short term. And what that does is every country has, if you click on like France, it says these are the people who consider France their rival. These are the rivals that France has. And if you click on Austria, same thing. Right, so Austria rivals me, but the people who rival Austria are the Ottomans, Hungary, and Lithuania. Right, so if I was worried about fighting Austria, I should be allies with these 3 people. And if I'm worried about fighting France, I should be allies with Aragon and England and Austria and Castile and myself. I think I might need to ally Aragon. Well, I don't think France is going to attack me until the 100 Years' War ends. So there's that idea that comes from having a statesman, I think. Yeah. So that's why you get a statesman early. Statesmen are actually good all game long because they allow you to vassalize things more quickly, but whatever. Alright, now I need to start improving relations with people. It makes sense to make sure that you never lose your alliance with Castile, because if you lose your alliance with Castile, see you, Zev, nice to see you again, dude. Then you're never gonna get it back. Castile is fickle, man. If you get friends with them early, you can stay friends with them for a long time, because they are enemies of France and England, and you are enemies of France and England, so you make sense as allies. But if you break the alliance, they're like, well, I'll just take Burgundy and territory, and then they rival you, and you can never be friends with them again. Yeah, one big problem with Castile early on as an ally is that they only help you against England because England has this territory, and then they only help you with France because France is on the border of Aragon or whatever. But if France wins the 100 Years' War by a mile, then they're going to take all of this coastline, and then Spain can't help you with England anymore. So it's actually probably a good idea for me to attack England right now. Yes, I'm going to attack England, but that's going to put me at odds with Portugal. So I don't want to be fighting Portugal, but I think that Spain can take Portugal. So let's see if we can do this. Oops. No, I don't want to cancel the fabrication of claims. I want to cancel the improved relations with Castile. Oh, and also you start the game with no good general, but you'll get a quest, and I actually got it twice in one game before, that gives you 100 tradition general in exchange for one stability and some like administrative power or something. All right, will Castile come? Yes, Castile will come. Oh, did I call in Castile? Call to arms. All right, so Castile can beat up Portugal while I beat up England, and in general, France will help me by accident because they're at war with England too. All right, so we need to put someone in charge of this, but not your king. We'll put a terrible general in charge. That probably wasn't worth doing. I probably should just had no general. Oh, and I didn't fund my army. Oh no, I hate when I do that. No. Oh, I won anyway though, so it's okay. An unfunded army wins. Yay. As soon as you get high enough military tech where you can make cannons, you'll start winning every fight by a mile if you just spend all of your money on having cannons. That can be quite fun. All right, Castile versus Portugal. Castile's going to win. And now this war with England is basically over. It's like a free victory because England is fighting the 100 Years' War, so what are they going to do? One thing worth doing actually is to try to beat them to the Siege of Caux, because that prevents France from getting as much territory as they want from England in the war, and you know you can get more yourself from England that way. But I forgot to do that. I didn't attack early enough. Ooh, this guy gives another national decision. -1 revolt risk guy gives you +1 missionary strength. And +1 revolt risk, but doesn't matter. Missionary strength becomes super important later on, and it's rare to get a theologian, so whenever you can, I take that decision. It's probably, short term, it's probably bad because it gives me +1 revolt risk for no good reason. But later on, it'll be important. Alright, so we're building up our manpower, fighting England, but we're not actually fighting. And we're making a stockpile of caches. We're going to defund our ships. We might actually blow up our ships because we've got to pay $1 a month for probably the next 25 years before the ships will be worthwhile in any way. So that seems dumb. Yes, I'm going to blow up my ships. Buy ships. Delete. Another way that you can go is right when the game starts, you can load all of your ships into Scotland. And then wait until England sends armies to the mainland to fight France. You give them permission to use your territory to fight in. And then you immediately declare war on England and walk through and crush them. You can siege up the entire mainland of England. And then you can get them to release Cornwall and Wales. This is Wales and this is Cornwall. And then you can vassalize Cornwall and Wales. And that gives you probably more opening strength than any other start because you don't need any allies to do that. You don't need to be allied with Castile or anyone. So you can spend all 4 of your diplomatic slots on... what's going on? What's my 4th slot being used on? You can use all 4 of your diplomatic slots on vassals, which is cool. I have 4 diplomatic relations, but I only know of 3 of them. How do you check what your diplomatic relations are? Diplomacy. Allied with those 3, royal marriage with those 2. Actually, why am I not? Oh, because you can't royal marriage Switzerland. Guaranteeing the independence of Savoy. Why am I guaranteeing the independence of Savoy? That's not what I wanted to do. Revoke guarantee. Sorry, Savoy, I don't like you. So the problem is Savoy is threatened by you. So, hey, my name is Igder. Welcome back, dude. So, Savoy, you can either be their friends or their enemies, but if you're their friends, they won't help you. They only ally you so that you don't kill them. And if you're their enemies, then they're constantly throwing 20,000 troops at you. So I've tried being friends with them, and I just never felt like it was worth the diplomatic slot. I think similar is true of Milan. We've got some powerful nations down here, and you can befriend both of them, and then you never have to worry about your southern border, but they don't help you in a war with France. Milan will help you in a war with anyone, but they'll never send any troops because they can't get to you. So I don't know. This time I am not doing that. Oh, here we go. fight time. You got to fight for your right to kill the British. Do 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 do. Eli, can you make it quiet, my friend? Did I defund my fleet? Yes, I did. Good job, Eli. You can't do that. Eli learns how to talk about video. He's 3 years old, and he's really good at Mario, which just goes to show how important the Wii U is, because he can't figure out a normal remote. He can't figure out a Wii remote. But the touchscreen Wii U remote, man, he can play Mario all day long. He's great at Mario. And he's only 3. It's crazy. Touchscreen for the win. Man, I wasn't paying attention, and England totally took that back from me. But that's okay. I'll kill him. Die, British troops. It's actually better for him to successfully defend a bunch of times, because the more of his army I kill during the war, the higher my war score with him is going to be. Although it all is eating away manpower that's eventually going to be important when France attacks me. It's possible that I should fund some mercenaries. Generally, it's better to fight all early wars with mercenaries to preserve your manpower, because manpower, like 1,000 manpower right now, is 100 skill troop. Whereas if I preserve that 1,000 manpower until I get to the next military tech, then that same 1,000 manpower is going to give me an awesome like 3-3 troop, right? They both use the same amount of manpower. So why spend the manpower right now getting my own troops killed when they're 0-0? Instead, I can use mercenaries right now. It just throws away gold. And then later, I can use manpower for what it's really good for, which is cannons. Cannons. Die, British troops. Alright, we're going up to 4x speed, but I'm gonna actually pay attention to when Britain is landing on me. Ooh, look at this. Laborde, Armagnac. It's funny that that counts as a non-blue siege. The color of the siege indicates the I'm actually going to let him land. Yeah, that was dumb of him. Yeah, so blue siege is occupied by France, right? This is occupied by Armagnac, which means that Armagnac is an ally rather than a vassal. I thought Armagnac was a vassal of France, but I was wrong. I was wrong. All right, here comes 6,000 troops. So I believe if I only send 4,000 troops, then I get defender's advantage and he won't cancel the landing. And then I can send the rest of the troops after he's already landed. Whoop. Yay. So I had planned, I even fabricated claims. I had planned to use my second vassal slot on Bar. Oops. No. We'll put 2,000 troops there for him to land on, and then I'll go punch him. But I'm thinking if I can win this war with England really well, I might use a vassal slot on Cornwall. The problem with vassalizing Cornwall is that every war with England, Cornwall is just going to get sieged up. It's never going to be able to provide you anything but money, and it doesn't provide you very much money. But the advantage is that it's actually at, I believe, 4 base tax. It's not a terrible vassal as far as money's goes. Bar is 5, so I guess it would be better to have Bar. Also, Bar is strategically valuable because it allows me to move my troops back and forth. Ooh, someone's attacking Baden. I need to enforce peace because Baden is my ally. Alright. Oh, Baden, you attacked someone and didn't call me to arms. Ansbach's Bavarian conquest of Ansbach. Okay, so Baden's okay, but they got Bavaria on their side. They're going to be just fine. I will just ignore that. See, I've depleted all my manpower in this war with France, even though it's been an easy war, lots of easy fighting. That's the trick. And also, it costs a lot of money. Like, every time a single soldier dies, you have to pay a single, 0.01 gold to replace him. So every fight costs a bunch of money. And in exchange, when you succeed in a fight, you get a bunch of prestige. And prestige gives you more money. especially trade income. So it's often worth it, especially like right now. I'm going to actually get 1 stability from raising my prestige up. Right now, it's worth the manpower and the money to keep fighting these battles, even though I could probably avoid it just by hiring some mercenaries. But later on, once you're at 100 prestige, you should really try to avoid fighting whenever you can. You can often win wars by counter-sieging faster than they siege you and just defending your sieges without losing any troops. And that can be valuable later. But in the early game, you got to get your prestige up. I got to get 50 prestige, so let's keep crushing these British troops. I think the victory of that siege might give me some money. Also, if we select this province, oh, there's another 11,000. So let's pull off 11,000 troops. Right click gives you half. Right click gives you half. This is good. We'll put 10,000 troops right there, and then these guys will come when it's time. Come on, baby. All right, there we go. Also, every single time I've played Burgundy, I've managed to become papal controller. So that's worth pursuing. I really dislike the papal controller interface because it rewards a tedious process of being like, all right, I'm going to invest in this. All right, I'm going to invest. All right, I'm going to invest. If you're diligent, then your diligence pays off with an extra diplomat and the ability to break royal ties for free. And a big bonus in reputation, which will allow you to vassalize people more easily. So there are rewards, but, you know, it should be automated. The problem is if you automate papal controller, then people would think it's just random. Like, I'm randomly pope. Yay! So, I don't know. It's got to be different somehow because I don't like the way it is now. Alright, we got a quest to take Bar. The problem is that in order to succeed in this quest, we have to annex Bar and then release it as a vassal. And annexing a member of the empire will really upset the emperor. Whereas if we don't take this quest, we could just force them to release Bar and then take it as a vassal peacefully. And that would make everyone much happier. But the quest gives me 25 administrative power, man. It just seems like, who wouldn't want 25 administrative power? No, French people can't come to my territory. That's not right. Alright, let's see if we can fight this war in the middle of our current war without dying too much. This is... I have 0 manpower. It's such a mistake to start another war when you don't have any manpower, but I'm doing it! Because you know that if I still have 0 manpower at the end of the France's war, then they're coming for me. Call willing allies. No one will come. They're allied with Austria, Milan, and Lorraine. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not at all. Alright, let's improve relations with Baden. Let's get this vassalization started. Because if you stay allies instead of vassalizing for too long, then they're going to attack someone. They're going to be like, I have a big friend that's going to help me expand. And then once they get too big, then you're doomed. Whoa, sweet. Plus relations with everyone around me. That's great. And you can actually vassalize during a war. Oh, Baden won't take vassalization anymore. Why won't they I probably need the diplomatic reputation guy. That's okay, because I need more influence anyway. Ouija time! Whoa! You make it quiet again? He's so tricksy, man. I'm like, make it quiet. And he does, and then he turns it back up 2 seconds later when he thinks I won't notice. And then I don't notice, so he's right. He's a clever little 3-year-old, man. Cleverest of 3-year-olds. So I could also vassalize Guillory. I want Bar more than I want Guillory, but I'm tempted to take Guillory and Baden as 2 vassals, and then I'll be allied with Switzerland and Castile, and I can bail on Switzerland if I need to. I don't know. Getting too greedy. I can always take Guillory later. It's so close to me. Where is it? Right there. that it tends to survive until later. And if it gets gobbled up by somebody, I can always demand that they return it, because it's a core province of mine, Burgundian core. I tend to not take it even though it's a core province, because it puts me at odds with nice. At odds with Austria. So the question here, if I take a peace with Portugal, then it gives me a bonus to my war score with England, because the size of their alliance is smaller, right? But it also takes away some of the war score that I have from Spain sieging up Portugal. Hi, guys! Right, you guys got to be pretty quiet. You can play, but you got to be quiet. And Simon, don't take the game away from Eli. Eli's playing.
But Eli said, here you go, Simon.
All right, but if he wants it back, you give it back. Don't fight. I don't want fighting.
Eli, can I play Peakman? No. Why? Because I say no.
Eli says no, Simon.
Why did he say no?
He wants you to play Mario because he just spent a long time playing Mario and dying over and over, and he likes to see you do it without dying. It's interesting to him. If you switch games, then he doesn't get the satisfaction of seeing Mario good.
He said I can play Peakman.
All right, you can play Peakman. All right, let's fast forward through this war. With 0 manpower, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die to France at any moment, but that's okay. Another thing, Brittany makes a good ally against England and France because they share borders with both, theoretically. And they always bring me 10,000 troops to fight with, and that's fine. But those 10,000 troops always die, like, immediately because they're terrible. I like it when people, like, see how Switzerland is on the opposite side, so they have to walk through my territory to get to France. That will tend to be better for me than Brittany, who's just going to go and siege up territory right next to them and get killed. Guys, I told you, it's either quiet or it's upstairs. That's right, it's quiet. You gotta be quiet. Hi, Tyler. How's it going? Oh. Okay. So let's